I feel like I've been talking a lot about comic book movies these past few weeks, but you know what? F those guys. Let's talk about actual comic books for once. Specifically, Mr. Oz. Before Rebirth, he was a minor figure that appeared in the background of Jeff Johns and John Romita Jr.'s run on Superman. Since Rebirth, his presence has grown substantially. While still primarily a Superman villain, he has left his mark throughout the entire DC universe. Most famously, kidnapping best Robin ever Tim Drake and putting him in his interdimensional prison. Since Rebirth #1, the mystery of who Mr. Oz is has been one of the biggest talking points in all of comics. Is he somebody we already know? Is it a completely new character? Does he have any connection to what's going on with the Watchmen characters? Well, last week in the pages of Action Comics 978, we finally got our answer, and it is a doozy. I didn't buy it physically. It's a digital picture. I hope this comes out. If not, sorry. Mr. Oz is Jor-El, Superman's Kryptonian birth father. Don't yell spoilers at me. This has been on the internet for over a week. If you didn't know now, you were gonna know eventually. Now, before I dive into this, I want to talk about who we all thought Mr. Oz was before this reveal. Since Rebirth and the whole Watchmen connection to the DC universe came to light, a lot of people, myself included, thought that Mr. Oz was Ozymandias, aka Adrian Veidt, the main antagonist of Watchmen. And it made a lot of sense. For one thing, his name was Mr. Oz. I mean, yes, that's a little on the nose, but this is superhero comics we're talking about here. Subtlety is not the medium's strong suit. Also, too, there's been a lot of hints and references that Mr. Oz is in some sort of conflict with the being who's been manipulating the DC timeline, which we learned was Dr. Manhattan. Now, that certainly would have made the Watchmen connection a lot stronger, but alas, it was not meant to be. Per writer Dan Jurgens, Mr. Oz is and always was meant to have a strong connection with Superman. And it's not just any connection, it's his dad. It's Superman's dad. It's Jor-El. He somehow survived the destruction of Krypton and has been using his time to cause pain and misery all across the Earth. And this is a big deal. Jor-El has never officially come back from the dead. He's been in time travel stories and dream sequences and Elseworlds tales, but never actually back from the dead in main DC Universe canon. You can imagine that this would raise a lot of questions. How did Jor-El survive? How did he become so bitter? What does this mean for Superman? Did anybody else survive the destruction of Krypton? Now, this is just the first issue of the 5-part Oz Effect storyline, so we really don't know anything. All we can do is speculate. And speculate I will, especially with regards to what this means for the Man of Steel. He's been fighting for truth and justice for years, and now all of a sudden the man who sent him to Earth to do just that is telling him it's all been a waste of time. This would be like if Uncle Ben came back from the dead and told Spider-Man that great power and great responsibility was all bullshit and that he should be using his abilities for personal gain. One of the main plot points of Superman's origin story is that Jor-El purposefully sent his only son to Earth, not just to save him, but to teach the people of the young planet how to be good and inspire hope in them. Call it the Jesus allegory, the Moses allegory, whatever you want to call it, this is an important plot point of every single Superman origin story. Every adaptation of Superman makes it a point to include this. Yes, even Man of Steel. If Dan Jurgens and company really do decide to see this story through to the end and that Mr. Oz really is Jor-El, then this is going to rewrite Superman's story, not just his origin story, his entire story. It means that Jor-El's dream of bringing peace to a planet is more of a nightmare, and that the smart, kind-hearted scientist is easily turned into a jaded, bitter villain with extra dimensional powers somehow. Yeah, we really know nothing about this guy so far. For all we know, this might not even be Jor-El. It might be Mixia Spitlick or something messing with Superman again. But that would be cheap. I honestly hope that this is actually Jor-El. It will prove that not only is the creative team serious about this, but that DC as a whole is serious about this story and the direction they're taking their line. It would prove they're not messing around anymore. I just hope they find a way to keep Jor-El the villain of this story while not forgetting about the reason and meaning behind his original decision to send his son to Earth. But what do you guys think about the Mr. Oz reveal? Did you see it coming? Who did you think it was? Where do you think this story is going to go, and what does this mean for Superman? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. I should mention that this issue did touch upon some things that are hot button topics in our current political climate. I'm not going to go into that here. All I'm going to say is that this did it a lot better than Secret Empire did. Of course, new videos every Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is Wulff Down Live. Make sure you subscribe to see that. Click the bell icon so you get notifications about when we go live and when we just post stuff, you know, as usual. Like this video, share it with a friend, and thanks for watching. I will see you next time.